What's going on, y'all, man? Time to react. As y'all know, the AP poll dropped a couple of hours ago, man. Some major shifts in the AP poll, man. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. All right, first, I agree. Oregon should be the top team, right? Big-time victory on the road against Purdue, right? 35-0, shut them out. I thought that one could be potentially dangerous for Oregon. But after some early season struggles against Boise State, Idaho, they look like they found their groove. Offensively looking good. Dylan Gabriel's been doing his thing. I think he has a hat in the ring for the Heisman candidacy, potentially as a finalist. Him, Cam Ward, Ashton Genty, they're the real deal. So I think Oregon's not messing around. Big win a couple weeks ago against Ohio State. I think it's rightful for them to be the number one team. All right, let's talk about Georgia, man. And rightfully so at number 2. Only gave up 259 total yards in the game. They had 7 sacks, right? They had 4 turnovers, 3 fumbles, and an interception. It was a complete victory for Georgia. Now, Texas got back into the game, but I thought Georgia, with some different calls going against them, rough whistle, obviously, they got fined. Texas did that $250,000 that they're going to have to pay for fans throwing trash on the field. Can't have that. But nonetheless, man, for Georgia and the Bulldogs, that was a complete victory. It doesn't get much better than that. And again, like, I like Carson Beck, but he's not performing in the big games. And I'm talking about, like, playing Texas, Bama, struggled first half, didn't get going till late, and in the second half, right? I haven't seen that. He had 3 interceptions. I know some of y'all said, oh, well, he had drops. Yes, you guys are right, 100%. But that still doesn't excuse for you for your play and throwing that many interceptions. Georgia's not going to win a title like that. You know what I'm saying? Now, they got defense to do it, and that was the best performance from a much maligned defense that got, kind of criticized after giving up 31 points against Mississippi State. But if that defense is like that every single game, look out for Georgia. They're the real deal. All right, next you got Penn State at number 3. Drew Aller and company has been playing good this season. I still want to see them play an elite team. They play Illinois, who's having a good year, but I'm going to hold serve. They got to play some different teams down the line, some top teams in the Big Ten. When they play them, I will have my answer on Penn State. I'm going to leave it at that. All right, Ohio State, obviously, that lost to Oregon. Big-time games still coming up for them. Still got to play Michigan. Still got to play several other, really good Big Ten teams. I think they'll be fine. Like I said, last game, they just got to get Travion Henderson going. My bad. Quishon Judkins going. He got to have a bigger game than what he had when they played Oregon. That's not going to cut it. But they should be good. I thought Will Howard played a good game. Had that little snafu at the end, but he played really well. I think Ohio State will be just fine. They're going to be in that conversation. Texas, rough loss at home. They brought in Arch Manning. What I did like what Sarkisian did was he didn't stay with Arch Manning. So that's not something that's going to wreck the confidence of a Quinn Ewers, right, who's suspected to be a first-round draft pick, right? That's not a good look from him compared to maybe like NFL scouts and how they see it. But sometimes you struggle, and he looked like he was seeing ghosts out there against Georgia, right? But he's going to get better from it, right? He's going to improve. And I like that they gave a little bit of, the touch and allow Arch Manning to come in and show what he could do. And that athleticism speaks out for itself. Still not completely so. Still want to see some more from him, but shout out to Quinn Ewers for a better second half and gave them a chance potentially in that one. All right, Miami, they won a shootout against Louisville, 52-45. Offense is rolling. Little concern defensively for me. When Cam Ward's your quarterback and he's throwing for 320-plus yards and 4 touchdowns, you feel pretty good. But it's too many games that are close, and I feel like Miami's going to slip up. I hate to say it, it's my favorite team, but I really think Miami's going to eventually slip up to one of these teams in the ACC. I don't know when. They've been scathing through, right? Coming back and beating California, beating, obviously, Louisville. But they still got some games on the schedule that are tough. And I could see them getting upset. Just going to keep that 100. It is my favorite team, but I could see it. All right, 7, you had a big win for Tennessee, right? Nico Alemilewa got hurt, came back in, was throwing strikes. So Tennessee, you got some pretty good wins on your schedule. You feel pretty good. Like you right in the driver's seat. You have the loss, but if you continue to do your thing and perform big, you feel all right. Shout out to LSU, man. Big win they had this past week, obviously against Arkansas on the road. Garrett Nussmeier starting to get it going in the second half. I thought for the most part, defense showed up another pretty good performance yet again. And I think they're showing that they're the real deal. They got a tough contest. We'll talk about more later in the week against Texas A&M. That's going to tell us a lot. 8 versus 14. It's going to have a big result on the college football playoff standings, on the SEC standings, and just the playoff picture in general. Huge game for both teams. Can't wait to talk about that one. All right, then you got Clemson. They beat Virginia. Offense has gotten rolling. Offense looks good with Clay Klubnik. He's been looking like one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC. Him and Cam Ward. I mean, you got to have that conversation at this point. So we're going to see. I'm still holding serve. I want to see them play an elite team first. Last elite team they played was Georgia. I'll leave it at that. All right, you got Iowa State. They came back from down against UCF. Was able to pull that game out. So shout out to them for that one. That was not easy. After that pick six, potentially, they could have quilted. They did not. They kept holding serve and had a good one. BYU continues their winning ways, man. I like their ranking at number 11. Number 12 with Notre Dame. I know you're going to come for me in the comments. I'm not necessarily so. I was in person and seen the whole game. I think the key there, you got to have an answer for Riley Leonard. He's good. Jeremiah Love is good. Price, Jadorian Price is good. Like, they got a really good run game, but they, to me, don't have the weapons on the outside to make you feel like, worried necessarily. Now, Bo Collins is good, and the tight end game for them is really good. The key is going to be wrapping up and tackling in open space humbly. And their defense is pretty elite. I will say that about Notre Dame. They do have an elite defense. But the key is you're going to have to win your shots. Your receivers are going to have to win on the outside, and you're going to have to be able to block up that front. They can stuff the run and things like that, and held Georgia Tech to only 13 points. Didn't have Haynes King and Kyle Eifert, but still a really good win. I just don't see Notre Dame beating an elite team this year. That's just my humble opinion. All right, next up, Indiana continues to roll. That was a shocker. 56-7 win against Nebraska. I thought that game was going to be way closer. I think they're the real deal. They got some more big games coming up in the Big Ten. Watch out for them, bro. They look good under head coach Cignetti. That's Texas A&M. We already talked about them. Big matchup coming up against LSU. Super excited for that one with Le'Veon Moss and company. It's going to be a good one. All right, Alabama. Woo. Same thing with kind of Georgia, right? Much maligned defense that really, got tore out the frame a few weeks prior, right, against Vanderbilt in a game against South Carolina. Your defense steps up big and has 3 turnovers in the first half, and the offense can't get it rolling, right, since the offense has gotten figured out. So it's like, for Bama, and the same thing with my Bama, it's like you got to find that middle ground of complementary football. And I feel like that's been a struggle for them. Either their offense has been elite, defense hasn't been great, or the defense has been great, offense hasn't been good at all. So they got to figure that out. An atrocious game for them, but, Ryan Williams keeps making plays. They got to figure it out and play collectively as a team. They still not out of it. They still got some big games coming up against LSU and several other big opponents. So everything's still out in front of them, but they got to start getting wins. I don't think they can take another loss. All right, Kansas State, they continue their winning ways as well, along with Boise State. They look good with Ashton Jeanty, the Heisman favorite right now, I would say. He's running the ball really hard. Avery Johnson for Kansas State's been doing his thing. 18, obviously, got Ole Miss with Jackson Dart. Hey, I told y'all, same thing, how I feel about Beck. I want to see it in the big game. I'm not saying they don't have a good team. They got some big matchups coming up. I want to see how they respond and how they're going to look. Remains to be seen. Pittsburgh obviously got their great quarterback, the freshman phenom, Eli Holstein. Been playing well this season in the ACC. Not getting talked about enough, I don't think. But they're winning games. They're doing their thing. A team to watch. Now, Illinois. Big game coming up. They're going to play Oregon. All right? Now, they got to go to Oregon. So that won't be easy. But you think of Illinois, you think a team that can run the football, right? Physical, smash-mouth football. So if they can slow down the possessions and play ball control, force maybe Dylan Gabriel's a couple of mistakes, they could potentially pull off an upset. I'm not saying they will. They could. But you're going to have to make them feel uncomfortable. That's easier said than done, doing that in Eugene and trying to beat Oregon. We're going to find out, though. All right, next up, you got Missouri. Missouri actually has Bama this week. That's another big game for them. Just remember, but they open up as a 12.5 favorite. Bama does in that one. So it should be really interesting to see who wins. 22 SMU. They look good this year so far. Obviously, Army picked up another big win this past week. Army and Navy both, and in the rankings, I think it was the first time since 1948 in the AP poll. They both look good, both undefeated, both 6-0. All right, and then Vanderbilt finally getting ranked. Let's see how they respond to pressure. Let's see how they respond to that ranking, right? It can be stripped to you pretty easily how you respond being ranked. Diego Pavia having a great year for the Commodores. How you respond to the newfound hype, as some would say. So that's the AP poll, man. That's my thoughts. I wanted to react. Another great poll, man. Can't wait to see. I think they did a pretty good job. I don't really have too many critiques. I think Texas is fortunate after that loss to be ranked top 5 team. We're going to find out more about Penn State as they play the upper echelon competition. But it's going to be a doozy, man. It's going to be fun to continue to cover and watch this the remainder of the way as the playoff nears. Y'all comment below though. What's your thoughts?